Before the First World War, Canada was overlooked by the rest of the world. No one thought of Canada as anything more than one of Britain's many colonies that dotted the Earth's surface. However, through countless acts of bravery and heroism, Canada ended the war as one of the most respected nations in the world. August 4th, 1914. Canada was at war. Thousands of men throughout the country flooded to recruitment facilities to show their support to their motherland, Great Britain. These men, believing that the war would be a great adventure, were naive to the horrors they would soon find themselves facing. One of the first major battles the Canadians were thrust into was the Second Battle of Ypres. Ypres was the final holdout of Allied resistance in Belgium, and was the only defense the Allies had to protect French ports on the British Channel. On April 22nd, 1915, the Germans started their attack. After having just tested similar weapons on the Russians in the Eastern Front, the Germans unleashed the first poison gas attack in human history. This annihilated the French defense and left a 6-kilometer hole in the Allied lines. The Canadians were forced to quickly move to defend their western flank and buy time for British reinforcements. For the next 2 days, the outnumbered and outgunned Canadians fought an intense battle against the German offensive, while having to overcome a second, more coordinated gas attack. By the 25th of April, reinforcements finally arrived, allowing the Canadians to perform a fighting retreat. Having been successful in their defense, the reputation of Canada's fierce fighting force increased in the minds of the British High Command and German armies. This prestige only increased as the war went on. By 1917, the Canadians were seen as some of the best fighters in the Western Front. This reputation owed a lot to Sir Arthur Currie, Canada's newly appointed corps commander, whose groundbreaking military tactics allowed the Canadians to take Vimy Ridge earlier that year. In fall 1917, the British High Command ordered Currie and the Canadian Corps to return to Ypres and take the now ruined village of Passchendaele after multiple failed attempts by the British. Knowing that taking the village would cost an overwhelming loss of life, Currie pleaded to the British to not send his men to die. The British, however, needed a victory, and a victory is what they were going to get. October 26, 1917, the Canadians started their attack. For 14 days, the Canadian soldiers were forced to slowly march through the exposed and mud-filled battlefield while overcoming intense enemy fire. By November 6th, the final push on the village was started by the 27th City of Winnipeg Division, who were able to capture the village within the day. In only 2 weeks, the Canadians were able to complete what the British were trying to do for the last 2 months. After another 4 days of defending the village from German counterattacks, the Canadians won the battle. This victory did not come without a cost, as the Canadians faced almost 16,000 casualties and around 4,000 deaths in the battle. The battles of Ypres and Passchendaele helped solidify the Canadian Armed Forces as the best offensive fighting force on the Western Front. The reputation that Canada gained from these battles eventually helped earn Canada its own signature during the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. Canada's actions during the war also influenced Canada's unique identity and helped make Canada one of the most respected countries in the world.